And welcome to a new episode of Dynasty Mind. My name is Chris Chung. This is a feature of Fake Pigskin. Tonight I am joined by Kacey Kasem. Kacey, how are you doing tonight?
I am excellent, thank you.
Awesome. Kacey, you are really garnering a lot of attention on Twitterverse. I know you've been active around the football scene, and people are excited to find out more about you. And tell me a little bit about how you got into fantasy football, and now that you're a writer, you're jumping into even a bigger stage in not just being a fan, being just another owner, but someone who wants to share her thoughts, share her dynasty experiences.
Yeah, I've been playing fantasy football for about 7 years, I think. Yeah, probably 7 years. When I first started, I was just a big Cowboys fan, and a lot of friends, we'd always go over and watch games and stuff. And I had one friend that was like, I need an extra player for my fantasy league. And I was like, I don't know what that is. I've never heard of it. I've heard of it, but I really don't know what it is. And he kind of explained it to me, told me, try it out, see if you like it. I did. I ended up winning. So I was like, all right, this is for me. I can do this. And then so the second year, I just decided to leave that league and start my own, because I didn't like how they were real casual about how they play. They didn't really care about setting their lineups or doing any of that stuff. So that's probably why I won. So started an all-female league, get all my friends, girls sometimes feel a little awkward playing with a group of guys or whatever. I don't, but they do. So it's fun to get them involved. And then fast forward to right now, constantly getting people on Twitter telling me that I have to play Dynasty, you'll get addicted, you'll never want to play redraft ever again. So I was like, one night after one too many glasses of wine, I was like, all right, I'll do it. And John from over at Dynasty Trade Calculator was like, I'm going to start a league for people who have never played. So he started Dynasty Origins, and now I think there's like 4 different leagues of people who have never played Dynasty before.
Excellent. You'll enjoy it. I still dip my toes into the redraft scene. There is a different challenge, but I am absolutely delighted to have you on tonight, because we get to track your process, how you build, how you apply what you know about fantasy football, bring it to the dynasty scene, and I'm excited to just watch how you grow. And you're not just any player. You write for Fighting Chance Fantasy, which I talked to my dear friend Fantasy Taz from last week. So how did you land that gig?
I don't know exactly. It was kind of just by luck. I was talking to some people. I follow a lot of guys on Twitter, a lot of chicks on Twitter that write and comment on their articles. And then Ryan from over there at Fighting Chance was like, "Do you ever think about writing?" And I was like, I mean, yeah, I've thought about it, but never really took the plunge into it. And he was like, well, try it out and see if you like it. And I did. So here we are.
Excellent. And it's really a testament to your work for someone to recognize that you have this ability to write about football, can communicate it in a way that is going to draw people to read and learn from you. So tonight I am excited again to kind of talk about that. So before we head into the topics that we have for tonight, you said you were a Cowboys fan, so
Yes.
Which era of Cowboys did you start off with?
Well, I mean, I remember when the early 90s, kind of, I was a kid. So I remember the Super Bowls and all that stuff, like going to the parties with my parents, but not really knowing, this is a big deal. And now I wish I would have taken it more seriously then, because it's been pretty ridiculous for us. But I think Quincy Carter-ish was a fun start into this whole Cowboys thing, but the whole when Romo started, took over for Bledsoe, that's when I was like, all right, I'm going to buy jerseys and get crazy with it.
Oh man, the good old days. I when I started watching, it was right tail end of Bledsoe's Cowboys career. We're ushering in a new Tony Romo. Jason Witten, the immortal Jason Witten, was still there, sadly choosing to retire this year. And I believe Miles Austin and Terry Glenn were the wide receivers. I I do miss those days. But now they are ushering a new era again with Dak Prescott. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that era.
It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite team right now, but it's all right.
We'll get there, hopefully.
We'll get there, hopefully.
All right, so we'll dive into today's discussion then. So, as what is your early impression of the Dynasty world? You've been involved this offseason. I know you joined the Dynasty Origin with John Moser. What has been your impression? How do you see the difference transitioning from the redraft mindset to a Dynasty approach?
Well, okay. That was my whole thing going into it. Was like, okay, they say it's different. You got to get out of the Dynasty. You got to get out of the redraft mindset. Get into this Dynasty mindset. I guess it's kind of easier with a bunch of people that have never played before, but at the same time, it's also kind of hard because, like, I think I'm trying to do something right, like offer a trade to somebody or, draft a certain player, and then I see what these other guys are doing, or they reject my trade offer, and I'm like, what did I do wrong? So it's a learning process. And at the first part of the draft, I was in that dynasty or in that redraft mindset. So I'm like, when do I take a quarterback? Because it's a one quarterback league. Or when do I, people are like younger guys this and older guys for if you want to win now. And it was a lot to take in, but I think I ended up, at least learning.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting there.
That's good. Yes, you'll hear a lot of voices. You'll hear a lot of different directions. But it seems like you have an idea of how your team how you want your team to be. So who are some of the highlight players that you think you've got to steal on during the draft?
I like Kenny Stills. I think that was a pretty good one. Don't really like where I went with. I want to actually pull it up because I have it right here. I don't think I did so well on quarterback, but my first pick, I had the 107, and I took David Johnson, so I thought him coming to 107 was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took Christian McCaffrey after that. I think I went too early with my tight end. Well, I took Evan Ingram in the fourth. Yeah, I don't know. but as I went, it got better. I took Cooper Kupp before I took Cam Newton.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a couple rookies in there later on. I got Christian Kirk and Cortland Sutton.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I got my Duke Johnson, Chris Thompson.
Look, as you list these names off, I'm expecting you're going to go for like a redraft. You're going to win today, but these names are very great dynasty assets. Evan Ingram, underrated tight end. He's young. Right. He's only in his second year. David Johnson, he's still going to produce for a couple of years, and Christian McCaffrey, young running back. I'm not sure where people are like critiquing you, but it sounds like a really solid team that you'll be building on for years to come.
Yeah, I like it. I really do like it. And, everybody was making trades and trading their picks and trying to trade, Todd Gurley to me for, David Johnson in my whatever. And I'm like, okay, this is a lot. You guys are doing a lot. I feel like I'm not doing as much as I should be, but I think that the end product that I got at the end of the draft turned out to be pretty well. So
excellent.
I'm happy.
Excellent. So through this process, through hearing all these voices, there's a sea of information right now on Twitter, and people are bombarded left and right. For yourself, who are the voices that you particularly enjoy and that fits your style of approaching fantasy football?
Oh, there's a lot, actually. A lot of guys that I've reached out to, a lot of guys who've reached out to me. Jason Tran.
Jason.
Yeah, Gabe Gearing. He's John Bosch has been real helpful. He wanted me to join one of his leagues a couple months ago, and I said yes. And then I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Not for my first fantasy league. But he's actually been involved with the Dynasty Origins as well, helping me get that set up and bylaws and everything. So, those guys, Shane Manila, he's been real helpful too.
Yes.
There's a long list. I'm probably forgetting like a gazillion guys.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
They're like, anytime you want to come to us to tell us, what trade offers are being offered to you, or if you think a trade offer is something that you want to put out there, let us go over it, and we can kind of let you know where to tweak it.
Absolutely. I think you hear me laughing loudly on John. John is crazy. I'm in a league with him called the Supremacy Dynasty. So we have 4 separate formats under one name called the Supremacy League. We have a auction, we have a Dynasty bankroll, we have a redraft auction, and DFS, all of those combined into one. So John is a little crazy.
He's way too crazy for my blood,
but as you get into it, as you dive into it, as you become more comfortable with it, understanding, and I hear a lot of that, the growth in the challenge for you is understanding trade values and understanding long term versus short term.
Yeah.
So what is your sense right now as to how you see the values and how that is different for yourself?
Well, it's kind of complicated too. I'm not really. I know everybody when they first start thinks their team is like the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're gonna win. I don't need to do this. I don't need to do that. My team's great, right? Everybody's team's great.
Yes.
But I know that I have to get in the mindset that with Dynasty, things change. These players aren't always going to be who they are now. You're going to keep these guys for as long as you can get as much wear out of the tires as you can. But I don't do a lot of trading in redraft. So I know that one of the big parts of Dynasty, everybody's like, the trading is the best part, blah, 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 blah. And for right now, I don't know. Everybody's in my ear telling me things about how the 2019 draft class isn't that great. So you can give up some draft picks from the 2019 draft class because 2020 is better. I don't know because I don't follow college football at all. So that was another thing that I had a problem with. When I was initially thinking about joining Dynasty, I was like, I don't like college football, so I'm gonna have to listen to you guys that know what you're talking about. So
I have to tell you, Dynasty has exploded. In the 5 years ago when I started playing, there was some attention paid to college just because we want to know more about the rookies.
Right.
Nowadays, they just want to know anyone who just entered college and just tracked them for 4 years. And it's like, oh, okay, you guys, over top. It's fun, and it can consume us. But I think you are at a good point right now. It's just to even have that thing in the back of your mind, knowing how future picks work, and that you're paying attention to the right voices out there. So let's hit into something that maybe you and I are more comfortable with. We're talking about the 2018 season. We're talking about redraft, and people forget redraft portion of fantasy football is a big part of Dynasty. In the offseason, we have all this talk about potential, all this talk about values and the shifting changes. But when games are played, and games will be played this month, and kickoff is in 4 weeks, 5 weeks.
It's crazy.
The excitement is coming. The off season's been too long. We're all crazy. We're all
ready.
We're all hungry for some real football, right? So let me know your thoughts on the 2018 season coming in. What are some of the things that you are anticipating? Who are some of your favorite players to follow? Who are some of you don't think that they'll repeat the success that they showed in 2017?
Okay. Well, coming into this current season, I'm really big on wide receivers later. Marvin Jones is one of my guys. Jameson Crowder. Like I mentioned, Kenny Stills earlier. So I am one of those people who takes a running back early, tries to get one of the top guys. If I can't, and Hopkins is there, or OBJ is there, or whoever. I mean, obviously, if that's the draft spot I have, I'm not gonna pass up on that. Looking into this season, though, you got Delaney Walker, that's the dude. He is so underrated. That's my dude. And yes, he's older, but he just got the contract, and he's been a top 4, top 5 guy the last however many seasons, and he's kind of just my football man crush, I guess you could say. That's the kind of guy that I want on all my teams. And as for like quarterbacks, you know, a lot of people, as a Cowboys fan, a lot of people are like, you should be thinking that Dak is going to be bounce back. He didn't play as bad as you thought last year. There was all those problems with the Zeke suspension and the O-line being injured. He'll be okay. But I'm looking more at like drafting someone like Matthew Stafford or Kirk Cousins, some guy like that is consistent, and like the situation that Kirk Cousins fell into is like great, like baller status right there. Like,
yeah, you like his landing spot. You like his landing spot.
Yes, I love it.
Oh.
I love almost everybody that he's got that to throw to, and I'm so happy he's not with the Redskins anymore, so it makes it even better, you know?
It's true.
If he ever goes somewhere else, he will be one of my favorite players. But when he's with the Redskins, like, Cowboys fan can't do that.
And now he's free from that. You can root for him, and he deserves it. He really does. It's been ridiculous how long his old team has been keeping him handcuffed and trying to play games with him with his contract, but now he's surrounded by weapons. It's running back, it's wide receiver, tight end. I'm not too sure about the offensive line, but at least it's better than the other places. He could have gone to worse places.
He could have gone to worse places, and I think he's mobile enough to overcome what he needs to overcome. And he's like, here you go. Take this, whoever he throws it to, whoever he hands it off to, I think he's in good hands. Everything's going to be good.
Absolutely. And Delaney Walker was another one that you mentioned, and I was surprised. I participated in a mock draft just 2 days ago, and I was surprised how many tight ends are going ahead of him. He's valuable.
Yeah, it's crazy how many guys that you look at their last couple of years or whatever, and you're like, that guy was like 4, 5, 6 spots below him. What makes you think that magically things are going to change here when he's been so consistent every single year?
And what we know about tight ends is the older they are, the better they get, or the good ones stay good.
Yeah, I mean, seasoned vet, good connection with this quarterback. You can't ask for anything else.
Now, I will say that his value will probably see a small climb in the dynasty realm just because he did sign a new contract as well.
Yeah. And that was my fault for trying to... Okay, I tried to trade for him because I was like, what's the worst that can happen? I say no. At least the guy was nice when he rejected the offer. He countered, but I was like, I can't. That's too much for Delaney Walker. I got Evan Ingram. I can't remember who else I have, but I have some. I think Gerald Everett. I have Gerald Everett.
Okay.
Yeah, so
that's a nice sleeper.
But Delaney Walker, I'm telling you, I know this is Dynasty, but redraft, I'm gonna throw some bows if somebody tries to take him from me.
Yes, and so this is a lot of people that you just list off, and I definitely share a lot of the sentiment with a lot of those. I'm excited for them coming in. They've shown off well. Now let's conversely, who are some of the ones that you think they've had their flashes in 2017? People are exceedingly high on them, but you're tapping the brakes. You're like, let's think about this.
Calm down a little bit. Let me think. That's really hard because I love everybody, right? And probably everybody expects me to say Zeke Elliott because that's my mortal enemy or whatever right now. But I don't think that. I think we're gonna have the regression with a lot of the top running backs. Your Zeke, Gurley, Kamara. I still think they're going to produce for you, but I don't think any of those guys are going to be your top. I would like to see, David Johnson come back and do what he was supposed to do last year. So hopefully, they're all going to be good options, but I'm not as high on them. I know that my boy Steve over with Fighting Chance is big on Greg Olsen, but I'm not touching him this year. No offense to Greg Olsen. I know I like the old tight ends, but I don't know.
He's of a different old, huh?
He's a different old, and there's just something about hearing that you could have been in a broadcast booth, and I don't know.
He's thinking about retirement.
Yeah, so thinking about retirement thing, and I know everybody's and Gronk the same thing. Like, I'm kind of like, I don't think he's going to be the number one tight end this year. I would rather have Kelsey on my team. I would rather have. I feel like there's at least maybe one or two more guys that I could at least put in that same, like, where I'd be like debating which one I'd rather have. But, and I don't know. Everybody's high on Russell Wilson. He'll be mediocre. He'll be in the middle. I don't think he's going to be as high as some of the people think he's going to be. I love Russell Wilson. Like, if he's on my team, I'm not going to be crying about it. But I just think that there's a lot of bigger expectations that what's going on there right now.
Absolutely. I definitely can understand your hesitation. I've drafted Russell Wilson the last 2 years playing fantasy football.
Me too. Yeah.
And he's been fantastic, but half the season, I am dying with him for half the season, and then he just blows up, and my team was just misses the playoffs.
And that's how it was with Dak last year. I was like, what do you mean I got negative points? What do you mean I got negative points? You just put up 23 points, 25 points 2 weeks ago. So I think that is the deal with a lot of the quarterbacks, and I think that's why I tend to go for these more consistent guys like Matt Stafford, just because at least I know that I'm not going to get a 0 for this week or whatever,
Yes.
At least I'm going to get something. And plus, he's got targets too. Like, I like the Lions offense so much that I'll take you.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Matthew Stafford has been a steal. I'm waiting to see where his ADP goes. He is rising. He's slowly rising, and but at the same time, it's great that he gets a new coaching staff and he retains his original offensive coordinator. So there's excitement there. And of course, you and I, we like Marvin Jones. Golden Tate's going to still be Golden Tate. Kenny Golladay is the one that we're excited about being the third guy coming up. So there is a lot of reasons to be excited about Stafford. And he really hasn't been playing bad at all. People just wanted flashy numbers.
Yeah, it's very vanilla. Phillip Rivers, very vanilla,
Yeah,
but sometimes that's what you need. I mean, if you're going to get great weeks from these guys every now and then, and if you don't, you're still going to get the double digits. So you can be happy with that and not be like, oh man, Dak, oh man, Russell, what happened this week? Like, at least
he decided to fumble 3 times, throw 3 interceptions in the same game. That's
no big deal. That's fine. It happens to everybody.
I'm not bitter about it.
No, it's just when that stuff sticks in your head, and then you're like,
yes,
gotta clear my mind. It's a new week. You're not gonna get negative 2 points off the guy again. It can't happen. You can only go up from here.
Yes, we're bringing up very, very fond memory of Russell for both our teams.
Yeah.
So, okay, I hear you now on these guys that you are high on, and the guys that you have some concerns about, and it's warranted. Each of them does bring red flags with them heading into 2018. So now we're dipping into a little bit more challenging spot for you, and that's looking into the rookies. If you were to pick a rookie that's not as popular as Twitter really likes, but you think that he has a chance of shining in year 1, who would that be?
Michael Gallup. And I know that's maybe a cop out because like the Dallas wide receiver core isn't the most amazing thing in the world, but I see a lot of guys that are like, well, he's not gonna get to be the number 1 right away. There's guys in front of him. There's guys that have been there. You have tiny baby Cole Beasley there. You have Terrence Williams, who can't stay out of trouble, falls off scooters. Alan Hearns is my dude. Like, I love Alan Hearns. I do, but he's never been a number 1 guy. And gets injured sometimes, so that's a problem, But I don't know very much about the rookies. I do know that Cortland Sutton, I met him at the National Fantasy Football Convention, and I told him that he's in my Dynasty team, and he told me that he would not let me down, so I have to believe.
Yes. Did you get his number? You can call him and tell him, dude, you did not let me down.
Exactly. But he was like the nicest guy ever, and when you meet a guy, and he's the sweetest guy ever, like you want to root for that guy to be on, like on his game. Like Chris Thompson, I met him last year, and he was the sweetest guy ever. Hate Washington, love Chris Thompson, and I was so happy that he had the year that he had going before he got hurt.
Yes.
And so, Cortland Sutton, I don't want to put bad juju on you. I don't want you to get hurt halfway through the season, but he's there because the guys they have there now are getting older, and they're looking to say bye to one or both, So you gotta have your guy, and why not take a chance on this guy this year and see what he can do? And
absolutely.
I'll seize their future because I have him on my Dynasty team.
Absolutely, and you get to keep him forever. Just wait.
He's mine. Cortland, you're
awesome.
mine.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts on those. So we have your people, guys that you're high on, players that you are worried about, and players that are going to start their career with a bang because they promise you that they'll not let you down.
If you promise me, you can't take.
They keep their word. They keep their word. Like Chris Thompson. Okay, you might not be a Washington fan. My beef with Chris Thompson is he's an FSU guy. So that's the connection, and so yeah, we might not be a fan of their team or the fan of who they used to play for, but we are a fan of them for our fantasy team.
Right.
Yeah. The guys on our fantasy team, it doesn't matter.
Or a fan of the person in general, but I just Zeke in a draft, so okay.
Yeah, I had my share of those too.
There's guys out there that you're like, oh my gosh, I don't like you as a person, and you have to put your feelings aside and be like, what's for the betterment of my team? I will take you, player so and so, even though you decided to beat up your girlfriend, or we're not getting into the politics here, but word around the street is you're not a great guy, but hey, pretty dope for my fantasy team. So
yeah,
let's roll.
Yeah, you are well on your way to have a successful dynasty career, to be able to set aside feelings and know the numbers. That's all I care about. As long as on Sunday you put up the numbers.
And that's the thing. There's so many people that I know that are like can't put their feelings aside, and I totally understand that. Like, it makes me feel gross to say, I want this guy, but I also would really like to win, because who doesn't want to win?
Exactly.
So if you don't want to draft him, I will draft him.
I will take him. You know what?
And that might be a bad person on the inside, but on the outside, I'm smiling. So,
well, so speaking of which, now that we can transition a little bit, you went to the NFFC.
Yes, I did.
Yes, and this is your second year.
It is my second year. Yes,
it's your second year. And do you plan to continue attending?
I do, as long as it's around here. We had originally bought tickets for the one when it was in LA, and then it got canceled, and so we just had a nice, fun vacation. But now that it's in my neck of the woods, it's easier for me to get there. It was an hour drive this time, 30-minute drive to Dallas. So as long as it continues to be here, which I'm sure Andy's going to keep it here, I would like to go. And I think the best part of it isn't meeting the players, because the first year you wait in line and they don't tell you who you're waiting in line to meet.
Oh my gosh, no kidding.
Yeah, no. I was in line to meet Zeke, and then 10 people in front of me, they were like, okay, Zeke's done. Here's Johnny Manziel. So I got to meet Johnny Manziel. But this year I spent more time like going to actual analysts, going up to guys that I respect. I met Brett Evans. I met Lucas Loza, who is the absolute greatest person in the history of people.
Yes.
So sweet. The fantasy footballers, got to talk to them as well. My boy Debro, Derek, he was there. He's from around the area, so. Yeah. And I got to draft, did a live draft with the guys from, it was Eat Sleep Fantasy, and then some of the guys, or the guys from, who else was there? Oh my gosh. What were the other guys that were there? Deerfield Fantasy. Oh my God,
Deerfield
those are my
Fantasy,
guys.
yes.
Yeah, I got a shirt from them, so yeah, those are my guys. Totally, they were all dope. So it's really cool to be able to meet guys and gals that are in the fantasy industry. Katie Flowers.
Katie was there.
Yeah. She's gonna be actually, we're doing a live draft this weekend. It's gonna be a redraft, but she's gonna come on over because she lives right down the way, and she's gonna join on in on the fun.
Oh, that's fun. That's really fun. I really enjoy Katie's work. She's in a couple of my Devi Dynasty leagues, and she is a beast in those drafts and trade talks. I can't imagine. You be careful. She can sweet talk you.
Oh, I know. She was like, you don't mind if I come join you and a bunch of your friends who play fantasy football to pass the time. When I'm like, no, because I'm also like that, like, you guys know, like, just because I listen to podcasts all day doesn't mean that I know how to win all the time, So I told her, yeah, come on down. We need somebody. So she came. She's going to come. It's going to be great. I'll have to post the draft after we're done. See.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic. I wish I can join in. It just didn't fall on the right time of the year for me, but it's exciting for you. I think what brought the joy for you is to meeting those people, those analysts, those faces you see on Twitter a lot, but now you get to meet them in person, or the voices you hear on Twitter. On podcasts. On
podcasts, you definitely, when it works out for you, you should definitely try to attend, because it's a blast. Yeah, it's a blast.
I see it. I see it on your feed, and especially bringing up Liz. Liz was the first one to introduce me to a pod. If you didn't know that, she's awesome.
Yeah, I knew about her. She saw me wearing my Scott Fishbowl shirt, and she came up to me and she was like, "Are you in the Scott Fishbowl?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yes I am." And you're Liz Loza, So, and then I saw her later. She had I had tweeted about meeting her and stuff, and how I was drinking vodka. And she's like, "Well, where was my invite?" So then I saw her later, and me and my girlfriend. And Lorna, who's part of NFFC, she's going to be in one of my leagues too. We all stood around and talked forever about dogs, life, all kinds of good stuff. And she was just so friendly.
That is awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So, thank you so much for joining me tonight, Kacey. It's been a blast talking to you. It's really fun to see the energy and the passion you bring for fantasy football. So let us know, where can people find you? Where can people find your work? And I'll put all those in the description of this video.
Sounds good. So you can find me on Twitter at the Kacey Kasem. I spell my name Kacey, not Kasey, like a lot of people think. So yeah, Kacey. And then I write for Fighting Chance Fantasy. Ryan and the guys over there are just really awesome. So I just started writing for them probably in the last month or so. Just put up an article last week, and I've been writing. I started writing a Dynasty Diaries, where I just go over my experience being a first-time Dynasty player, and I'm hoping to put one of those out again maybe next week, since the draft's over and everything.
All right, awesome. So guys, I think I can speak for all of us who enjoyed the work in Dynasty, that we are delighted to have Kacey be part of our Twitter community, be part of our Dynasty community. I'm looking forward to your work as well as your continued growth in the Dynasty community, and we are lucky to have you, Kacey.
Well, thank you, Chris.
All right.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Hope to have you back. Maybe at the end of the season, I can have you review your thoughts and just tell us what you learned.
Tell you really how much Dynasty is amazing, and I'm never going to play redraft again, and I'm going to be in 27 leagues next year, and it's going to be great.
That will be fantastic. I'll teach you the ropes of how to manage 27 different leagues.
Please do, because that was my biggest thing. Like, my girlfriend's my fiance now, so she's like, let's not have that interfere with our lives. So maybe 26, maybe not 27.
You'll be able to handle it.
Yeah.
I told my wife, I'm only doing 13 this year.
Yeah. Well, I tell her that, and then she's like, "Wait, but you have to count the Scott Fishbowl. Wait, you have to count this new Dynasty League. Wait," and I'm like, "But if I can handle her, I can handle 27 fantasy." So
Well,
you're- I
for
love you.
well, I'm sure you'll have a busy year as well, planning
Yeah.
and all that, but you'll have fun. I'm definitely
gonna be
know
great.
that you'll have fun.
I can't wait to get this season started and see what fun I have in front of me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And guys, you can find her on Fighting Chance Fantasy. You can hit her up on Twitter. She will respond to you,
I
and she'll
will.
be more than happy to share about her experiences in both fantasy football and her connections with the analysts that all of you guys get to read about. She gets to shake their hands and hug them. Dude.
They're my homies. I mean, the fantasy community is so great. And meeting more and more people, getting to talk to you right now and seeing you and having this conversation, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And thanks for reaching out to me because I love talking football and I know you have a great passion for it. So it's pretty cool that we could get together.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. This is another episode of the Dynasty Mind. You can find this video on YouTube, and you can hit me up at FF Dynasty 101. Have a good night.